Look, kids, I just got my party invitations back from the printers.
Come to Homer's BBBQ. The extra B is for BYOBB.
What's that extra B for?
That's a typo.
This is AV SuperFriends On Topic, a 30-minute monthly roundtable focused on a single topic. This discussion will be opinionated, to the point, and saturated with our well-known blend of painfully won expertise and deeply ingrained immaturity. For February 2023, it's the AV SuperFriends On Topic. Welcome back, everybody. Time for another Friday after... Oh, wait, no. It's not Friday. Today's Wednesday. This is weird.
Somewhere it's Friday right now.
I'm coming back in 2 days. This is strange. All right, it's time for a Wednesday afternoon podcast adventure. I don't know. This is odd. Hey, we're AV SuperFriends. We're going to do a show for you. There we go. That's a hell of an intro. My name's Chris Dechter. I'm joined today by Jamie, Mark, Larry, and Justin. And on today's show, we're going to talk about BYOD and nothing. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all we're talking about.
Bring your own show, because we're not doing one.
BYOS for this BYOD. So we're going to jump right into it, because the last time we did one of these, we kind of talked around things for a little bit, and we kind of started to get off topic on and on topic. So BYOD. So here's the question, and this comes up quite often. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm talking to somebody from another school, when I'm first hearing about their AV systems, their classrooms, their e-learning stuff, all that, I'm starting to wonder, like, as you get into it, is there a computer in the room, or are people bringing laptops? And is that leading to a lot of the potential support issues, or just different approach to teaching? So,
what is it that the BYOD
that's
actually stand
Mark.
for? Let's start there. Bring your own distraction.
Display.
Bet you own donuts.
Bring your own display.
Bring your own display. It's not bring your own display. BYOD, so in the most generic sense, is what? Bring your own device, I think, is the most acceptable term.
That's the agreed upon thing.
The genericized term. Well, what the heck does that mean? Are we bringing in, like, is this the laptop for an instructor? Are we talking about students bringing stuff in? Are these personal devices, iPhones and Android phones or tablets, or I don't know? What's BYOD mean to you guys? Or is it other stuff?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yes. Unfortunately, I think anything that may be on your person. That's it.
And I've always kind of made the distinction that bring your own presentation device is fine. I'm cool with that.
BYOPD.
Yeah. Bring your own device to run the meeting and do everything that PC is for. I can make it work, but that's going to make my security team or my support team a little nervous.
So Larry, that's BYODTRTMADETPIF.
Wow.
That's exactly how it's referenced on the website.
I actually used bring your own PCVC once.
Ooh. Video conference.
Yep.
I like that. Because you're setting the scope of, like, what that device needs to do, or let me rephrase, what the device is expected to do.
Well, I was using it to explain how the rooms are set up to support Teams, support Zoom, support whatever you want. It's bring your own PCVC, whatever platform, it'll work.
Oh, you're talking specifically about the software. You're going to provide the connections. They can bring in the device or whatever software they want.
Enabled the hardware to host all of those thingies, whatever you want to do, right? I'll be 100% honest on this. This whole topic makes me really queasy.
Yep.
I don't like the current state. I wish we were where I think we're going to end up already. And I'll share that. I'm not sure we will be in a world where people will be plugging in all of their things into our systems in the future. Right? But we're not there yet. And it doesn't mean I'm anti-BYOD. I just hate having to deal with it. Yeah, I don't think it's wise to be juggling it all the time to enable people to be able to just use the thing in their pocket or their laptop or in their backpack if they're trying to make use of federated services already. I think it becomes a time piece. And so we're just not there yet, in my opinion. So, but I'm willing to be persuaded otherwise. If somebody has some other really grand reason, my generic stance is I don't want to keep providing cabled infrastructure to support BYOD.
I think I'm on the same boat, because our directive is to push more and more stuff to the cloud. If we're trying to push more stuff to the cloud, why are we requiring people to bring devices in and plug them in to make the room work?
Bring your own cloud.
There you go.
Bring an umbrella.
So I feel like we're a little bit more advanced in this, where anything BYOD, now we do provide that extra HDMI connection on top of lecterns for classrooms, and it's not a USB-C connection because people like to bring in DVD players and dock cams and all kinds of crap. If we leave it HDMI, then those old school teachers can still use it. But if you start talking to me about, I want this thing to show up there with a press of a button type stuff, that's great. We're going to leverage Zoom for that. Well, we don't want to. Tough. You're going to leverage Zoom. So we kind of draw a line in the sand, more of an IT model of, this is the one way that you do this on our campus, and that's all we support. And if your device can't do that, then sorry.
Get a new device.
Bring
another device.
I've always made an attempt to make sure that somebody could use their own device, because I'm that person. I hate using the provided equipment. Hate it. So I always bring my own.
Unpack that for me. Why?
Yeah, why?
Normally because there's so many obstacles in my way.
Like physical walls of like cargo nets and shit you have to climb over? Like what are we talking here?
I don't
like typing on someone else's keyboard.
If you unlock
some
the keyboard
bare wires sparking on the ground.
I'm terrible. I'm my own worst enemy. I don't like using the provided machine because I don't like to log in and wait for all the stuff to load. I don't like it that they decide that all of these things will automatically kick off. So if I go into a standard classroom with a standard machine and I log into it, it tells me, oh, you wanted to be on Zoom, open it. You wanted to be on Teams, open it. You wanted to be on the internet, open it. And it does it all automatically for me.
You don't like the assumptions that big IT has made for you.
And I hate it. And it never has the things I want. And it's just easier for me to walk in with my own device, plug in and go. And it's just me. I'm my own worst enemy. So I've always gone through, and I also I'm also the guy that likes to bring in my own disc, my own video, and just put it in the player and play. I don't want to log into the PC to watch a movie. I think it's asinine.
So it sounds like
discs.
Yeah,
he's got a little Sony mini discs. He's got a little mini disc player.
Actually, I have tons of those. I love the mini disc. But
that's what BYOD stands for. Bring your own disc, right?
Increasingly more, I'm wavering from that because of the federated systems, because of the zero trust policies, because of, and it is just easier to point everybody through that local PC because everything's already there. You don't now the obstacles are there no matter what. If I want to use O365 on my personal machine, I have to two-factor a billion times. I have to two-factor for every single thing, whether or not it's the local machine or my own personal one. Not my work-provided one. Personal ones have different added, but then we get into zero trust issues. So I've actually started removing. I will keep a plug available. We do have the Kramer. That we use the Kramer vias for the wireless share, but even those now with the new networking protocols are becoming more and more troublesome.
Go to the cloud.
We're starting to pull them away, and I think unless your environment is a provided device, a provided BYOD. So if your entire campus, because there's lots of them out there, it's a 1-to-1 campus, then BYOD all day long. I don't care. Right? But if it's not, you should be really careful because I think the more secure we get, the more infrastructure we get, the more federated services we get, the more difficult BYOD gets. And is it worth it?
I think that point you just made about if your campus supplies the devices, I agree with that completely. Like if you can guarantee that every instructor is going to have the same model of Dell laptop or whatever out there, then some of the update concerns and things like that I have, they go away. And then I might entertain a bring your own device scenario in the classrooms. But if I have to support every model of Mac that's out there and multiple manufacturers of PCs, it's going to be difficult to make sure that this room works with everything.
So I think the piece I have a hard time with is, what is it that we are accomplishing by providing physical infrastructure to accommodate other people's laptops?
people not screaming at me because they want to plug in their DVD player that we took out.
Mark, I want to take one step back from that. When we talk BYOD, I think it'd be important to describe BYOD specifically for conferencing applications versus BYOD for presentation.
Oh yeah,
because to me those are two very different
I think, there's
approaches. And to your question about
things.
what are we accomplishing by providing someone with a physical cable there, to Jamie's point, it avoids all the authentication weirdness and logging onto this and connecting to that, and as well as you can get a wireless network to work if you provide a $10 HDMI cable, it's going to work way better. And for weirdos like Jamie who want to bring in their own computer with their own software or their own content that they've created on that's not going to run on that installed super generic computer, that's what it's for. And I think in that sense, hey, here's a connection if you need this. Otherwise, everything should be, and I think maybe the rest of you it's the same, but like our metrics bear it out that like over 90% of people walk in, hit the PC button, and they never touch another thing because it does what they need.
So.
Yes, and I think it's the one-off. It's the business, the MBA programs, all the business people bring in their own. It's the medical programs, they all bring in their own. Some of those places. And I, on occasion, will even create, I have 2 facilities where I have BYOD, and it has a conferencing plug there too. With a secondary USB interface that you just plug in your machine, and it is written on there like it's either going to work or it's not.
That's my line in the sand,
right?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
No, because there are some look. We've all had institutional laptops provided to instructors that are so locked down that you can't plug anything into it.
Yeah,
and so at some point it's 90% of the time, this is the generic audio video drivers, and you're going to get the sound and video from the room to your machine, whatever it is. But we can't control your standard image. Now, these are special event places that have staff that walk in and basically say, "You're out of luck, man. Sorry." Right? And that's the agreed upon deal when I put those in. That's not every space. But it has gone over really well in those areas because folks can come in with their federated teams from Giant Corp USA and use their special government-issued ID and the camera in the room.
See, I've actually taken the opposite approach in those type of scenarios, and in my high-flex classrooms, I'm just encoding the laptop's video, and so they can still use their laptop, but you're bringing it through my PC before it hits anywhere else.
Yeah. See, you're treating it as content that way.
It is strictly content. It's the same scenario.
Yeah, I went the other way because we have some folks that like in one of these it's DESI. It's a government agency, and there is no logging in from some other machine. You're going to use our machine,
right?
Yeah.
And so I just provide them the thing. Good luck. Have fun.
So you've probably all had that ask. We want to do a conference room, and we want to be able to switch all of our infrastructure to make it capable of being used with somebody else's devices. I want to just real quick around the room. Is that something you do? I'll tell you right now, we're not doing that.
No,
on the university side, it's too much of a waste of time, and any experience you have in that space, fumbling around is reflects on the university. So wherever we can control that experience, we don't see the value in providing the ability to do that. And it's a support headache, and it's a waste of time if somebody
not just support, it's the time. So I had 2 meetings this week, one about a standard administrative conference room in our admin building, and one with an academic department who wants to make their spaces more modern. And both of those spaces, or both of those groups, have 100% BYOD. You bring in a laptop and use it, sort of thing. And they complain endlessly about they spend the first 5 or 10 minutes of every use dinking around trying to get it to work. And they're like, "What's the solution to this?" I was like, "Honestly, spend a couple $100. We'll put a PC in here. Everyone will come in and log into that. And if they're weirdos like Jamie and they really want to show their own stuff, here's an HDMI cable or a plug-in rather, but." All the conferencing through the PC. And the funny thing is, when I mention that now, because I've had pushback in years past on that, because everyone's like, no, I want to do it my own. I'm bringing my tablet, whatever. But now people are like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Let's do that. Because they know it's going to eliminate a lot of that time thing, which I think is probably even more important than the support issue. It's they don't want to burn the first 10 minutes of their class, their meeting, their seminar, whatever they're doing, with something that may or may not work. So,
yeah, we do the same thing. We just coach them at the end of that to say, look, if you want to share your device wirelessly in this room, you just pop up Zoom, share content. It's easy, and usually 90% of the time, people are like, they're open their eyes real big, like, wow, I didn't even think of that. Like, yeah, it's been there all along.
And sometimes you have to even show people what you mean by that. And you'll see that moment in their eyes, or that you'll even sometimes hear the physical click of like the light coming on, like, oh, I get it.
What's funny was just the other day dealing with consultants, and we were on a call, the clients were on a call, and we were explaining that same situation to them. The consultant was sharing their document to us so we could all look at it. And I still had to explain to the clients how that worked. I said, just like you're looking at this document right here, and you could see the wheels going like, but how does that work in a physical space? Like, I'm sitting in my office. Like, they just couldn't put it together in the classroom situation.
Yeah. Well, I think
sometimes you have to walk them through.
You have to show them.
Experience it. Yeah.
Well, the contingency is that they want to just run their thing. Their assumption is they're not going to have to log into the machine in the room. They're not going to do anything because they're just going to have their machine.
They just want to walk in and it just starts.
True,
it's just
it is an extra step. I agree. However, I mean, the alternative is, especially because everyone has this concept of, use wireless. Well, great. Now you've added about 4 more hurdles to that.
Well, the way I sell that against them, or against that thought process or design, is, look, you have to authenticate this content somehow. So it's not just the easy button of a student hitting their phone and it just magically appears on screen, because you don't want a bunch of, spring break pics or whatever showing up during the middle of your class or conference room.
Maybe want or need. Let's
need.
Okay.
Okay. And they're like, well, yeah, of course we don't want that. Well, then show me how you want a student to hit one button and it just magically shows up without you intervening or confirming that content needs to be up there. Oh yeah, well Zoom does that for you. Yeah, it sure does. And
you've just now also explained why I think everybody should just be using the installed computer all of the time. If all of your stuff is in the LMS system, that is a federated system, all your learning content is there as it should be.
Just use that.
Just use that. So why are you using your own boutique weirdo punk rock do-it-yourself thing?
Sometimes
because I'm a punk.
Right, and that's fine.
The term is weirdo.
Most of the time it happens in meetings where a meeting participant has some content they want to also talk about, and that's where it gets, But I was like, it's still easy in Zoom. It's not a problem.
So I think, to me, this is like a maturity scale, right?
Yeah.
You can get to the experience you need without all the stuff. You can do it wirelessly, you can do all that, but not everybody's there yet. And they need to be kind of guided along that journey to understand that I don't need to provide you this garden hose for you to hook that to in the room. You can just do it wirelessly, right? It all works. So that's kind of where my belief comes from, that I think we're going to go away from all this physical piece of it, and people will just run the cloud as we become more digital fluent.
Well, just rethink what that computer can do in the room. If you just rethink what it's capable of doing besides just freaking PowerPoint and Netflix or whatever the hell you're doing, then
most of the time it does a good job of booting up and crashing.
Well, you need a new computer person.
You need to talk
That's
to
an
your
IT.
PC.
See, we're responsible for the computer, so it works out.
That's what I want to ask. So I think everyone, or all 5 of us on this call right now, do we all have, in a standard space, conference room, classroom, by default, there's going to be an installed computer in there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So we're all on that same page. Do we all internally support that? I know some do and some don't. Or are there other groups we have to have fistfights with on campus? Justin raised his hand to a 2-option question.
Yeah.
Which you all can see. Everybody can see me raising my hand, right?
You don't know
You can see this?
Yeah.
Was this a video call or audio only? I can't remember. Okay.
Yes.
Well, if you brought your own device, you'd know.
Yep.
I did. It's right here.
We support them, the ones we use. Not to say that there aren't some rogue things that happen, but for by and large, we are the ones that are supporting that ecosystem.
And Larry, your group supports the computers,
we support the PCs. One thing
doesn't.
I have noticed is I'm not getting this request from instructors in classrooms. I'm only getting it for your higher end conference rooms. Those are the people that seem to want it. And those are the people that's hardest to say no to.
Higher end, like deans and
your C-level suites, your director of ITs, those type of
they
people.
Want a computer,
I just give them an alternate way of doing it. You don't say no.
They want to use their own PC. They want to bring their own device.
They could do it.
Yeah.
Through Zoom. You just give them a different road to travel down. That road may be a little rockier than they imagine, but it's still a road.
So let's take that same concept you have with Zoom. And I know we're obviously gonna go over time, but Have any of you experienced that same thing without Zoom, without Teams? Is there an application layer thing that's allowing you to do screen sharing on the installed computer that is not Zoom, not Teams?
NDI?
Not NDI. No, NDI is that's a whole protocol thing.
You
can do it.
You could do it.
It's not there.
Let me back up. Could the average person do it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
So there is not a supported mechanism.
Yeah.
There are mechanisms that people have tried. However, it is not the pre. Again, we go back to the: is it pre-installed? Is it pre-authenticated? Is it pre? And now with the new security, if it runs an administrative level, which NDI does, so it is automatically stopped. And so are some of the Google screen shares and things.
I was about to say Google Meet.
Yeah.
Question mark.
No,
until they cancel that one too.
Cancel it.
So the non-meet version of the screen share,
non-cloud stuff.
What is it? The casting version.
Yeah. So well, there was a couple free versions out that I've toyed with in the past. It was built on top of the same open conferencing platforms out there. There's a couple of beta ones out there. I was just wondering if
is it like a WebRTC thing?
There's a beta screen share WebRTC app that you can search and find out there that allows you to do that exact same thing. And I'm just wondering when the first like mature one. If anybody's listening and you've identified one, please let me know. Like send it in. I want to see an email and then we'll test that.
So
I
something
think
stupid, simple, and reliable.
Yeah, something super easy that's secure, meets all the criteria. It's cloud hosted content share that we can just run and not have to be in Teams, not have to be in Zoom.
It's like remote desktop, but like the next level of that. That's easier to use.
Just give me a share. Give me a screen share in the cloud.
Yeah. I could see Windows bringing that in, maybe.
I can't.
No?
They already have Teams. They're not going to go there.
You're running your own boutique Linux thing over there, Jamie.
So,
you're not going to be on Windows.
No, but Windows tried it with that, what is it, the WYDI or WIDI or whatever. They were trying that for a while.
But that was like, they wanted to bring a whole infrastructure with that
I know,
thing.
But they'll find a way to jack it up, right?
Well, it could just be a team spinoff or something, maybe.
With the WebRTC share, it was just like you mentioned earlier, it was built into Meet. Yeah. And they just pulled it off. So it's out there.
There's a WebRTC screen sharing plugin free thing. You do a search on Google, it'll show up. Test it. I've played with it. It does work. I just hate the branding that's kind of on there as beta stuff. And I'm looking for something similar to that. It does work, but I don't know.
So I guess as I think about it, so you're thinking like if there's just a simple utility, it does one thing. You're like, hey, click this icon, and you're now sharing, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
An icon on my computer that says
what if
screen
we
share.
What if we take that concept, Mark, and before we ship it, we're going to add multi-users. We're going to add authentic or annotation. We're going to add the ability to show multiple screens of content.
Oh, you mean
we're
immersive?
Yeah, you mean every one of the appliances that exist that have too much stuff.
I was thinking
them.
immersive's like screaming right now, and we're saying no, we don't want to pay $1,000 for that application. Yeah. We want it to
that's
just
a challenge which any of the and we haven't talked about them, but the wireless appliances that are on my general list of things never to ever buy again, because they all do that. They all invariably will start with like, this does one thing and does it really well, and oh look, we've added the following 14 things that you don't care about, and now you're paying for it.
Oh, and that's where I think, again, we used the Kramer one, but I think they've fallen into the same trap. Like one of the reasons we picked them is because it was a low overhead casting share kind of software thing, and it was just a small appliance, and just about any device just done. We press and go, right? But they started adding all of this BS to it. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with it. Quit giving us horse crap that nobody really wants. Like when did we start putting features in for the 10%? But it seems like 10%. On all of these VC items, Zoom is horribly guilty of it.
Yeah.
And Teams, and
let's get some apps you can run in there.
Yeah, like how? Yeah. Well, they need polling, and they need. Do we?
Somebody does. Somebody's listening to this. They're screaming.
When you create something good like a Shure SM58, you don't keep changing it after you've had.
You add a switch,
sales, right?
buddy. You add
a switch. That's my point, right?
Goddamn switch. Yeah.
See.
Is there any way I can take my SM58 and add like another capsule to it, just to the side, and maybe
put like a spinner on it to like a fidget wheel or something?
I was thinking maybe like a really poorly wired line level input on the side of it, maybe.
Oh yeah. Or like maybe a headphone jack. Maybe
you can just buy a quarter 20 to mount my camera on it, and
you can. I was like, you can change the capsule on that.
No. I didn't say change. I said another.
SM58 and an X2U built into one part number.
They make that, I think.
Actually, I'm pretty sure that does exist. Actually,
I think it's a combo. They sell it as one part number, but it's still two devices.
We've officially gone off the rails.
See, we said we wouldn't do that, but yeah, we didn't. Are here.
And by we mean you. All right. So last thing, I'm just looking through my list of things here. We've talked about BYOD wireless versus wired. We talked about wireless. Don't do it. We talked about conferencing versus presentation. Justin, you brought it up, and Mark, you mentioned a few times too, I think. Do we see a difference in approach to BYOD if it's in a teaching space, a teaching and learning space, versus a, for lack of a better term, a conferencing space, a meeting space? Or do we try to keep that same approach cross-campus regardless?
Mine's a hair different. We don't usually provide like an aux HDMI connection in a conference room, but we do in a classroom. But if we get approached where multiple people and students and everybody want to share content, we still push them through that cloud Zoom approach. So it's a minor change, but it's not terribly different.
The bulk of our standard learning spaces do have an auxiliary HDMI in them.
Yeah.
Our conference rooms also have an HDMI in them. However, they are service specific. That HDMI is just for screen share. You will not get your conferencing services by way of that HDMI.
Correct.
Right. And so they're very specific. And yes, we've gotten rid of some VGA too.
Most of mine, they're very similar across the board, no matter what, unless instructed not to, or the one-off, two-off spaces where I have provided UVC, USB connection for bring your own.
Which raises a good question. If at the beginning we talked about BYOD and we specifically said it's for anything that they're bringing in, any type of device. How am I bringing in my iPad or my Galaxy Tab and plugging that in a space and getting UVC? It's like I don't think that capability exists.
You're plugging it in, trying it, and seeing that doesn't work, and putting it back in your backpack.
Calling support, and Larry sending two people over to deal with it,
or just bring up the Zoom app on that iPad.
But a lot of the really modern ones with the little gender changer adapter thing do, and they do it well.
Do they? I know some of them will do it, but do they do it well?
I don't know about well.
I have seen that work enough times for me to be skeptical about it, because I'm like, oh, really? That'll work? And then 100% guaranteed.
Yeah, and I don't think I would rely on it ever. But I'm saying that now, let's flip this a little bit. People bring in their own cameras and microphones.
Bring your own display.
No, I'm serious. Yeah.
It's happened.
It's real.
This week, classes started, and we got a call, and an instructor had left their camera and microphone in a room that already had a camera and a microphone.
And we have folks that want a second view. They're like, well, I'm bringing in my own camera to point just at the whiteboard. I'm like, but I have
camera one, camera two, camera one, camera two.
Never mind.
And do you just chuckle when you get that call? I mean, they plug it into the computer and you pray for the best, or
see, we don't get calls when that happens. So we've had issues where our famous Zoom rooms, people bring in USB microphones and plug them up to the computer and just run the Zoom room like that and not use the $4,000 mic or whatever in the ceiling. And then you come across it a year later, just walking through rooms. You don't get phone calls about those on our campus.
Well, if they take it with them, then I would be more
they leave it there on the lectern. Yeah. It's like, you come across, you're like, what the hell is that? We're like, we plugged in our microphone to do Zoom. And it's the next Zoom room.
That's the next AVSF giveaway is what that is.
Like, what do you... Snip the USB, it's problem solved.
It's wireless now.
I think
it's like, why did you buy that mic?
It's actually pretty intriguing. We see things like that with folks that are not technophobic, and they want to do things and really push the boundaries.
Yeah.
I think an edge case.
Yeah, a lot of the things we're seeing, there are younger contingencies of instructors who want to push the bounds and want to do more of these things. And we'd be smart to actually look at that and think about that. And that if people do want to travel and price comes down and they can afford to bring all their own accoutrements to the room, what does that mean? If they can make a premium experience in their own pocket, why not?
Actually, as an aside, I've had more requests from instructors and from other people on campus about recommendations for their personal VC setups, that it wouldn't surprise me to see more of this, because I do have, like everybody, have some rooms that aren't set up as well as other spaces. I've got some that are on the cheap that just have a webcam. And if these instructors get stuck in one of those, I can see them bringing in their nice setup from their office to do their class there.
Yeah, that makes sense. But when you have something better than what they bring in, you start asking why. They're like, "Oh, we didn't know it was there." It's like, how? What are you talking about?
Do your campuses employ the USB lockout on the computers yet?
No, not yet.
You guys have some weird, crazy stuff going on there.
Yeah, that's weird, dude.
So you lock out everything on your computers and make it so they can't boot into them, and they fail immediately. What are you doing?
Next, he's
going
to complain they're locking out all the vowels.
So I do have a couple of Department of Defense areas, and in the pharmacies areas, and no, it is locked out. Yeah. And in fact, they're starting to and highly encourage no more USB drives. Everything's on the federated services on the cloud, using the machine that's there. And if you plug something into it, if it's not already pre-approved, it's not going. And it has been more talk and banter than actual implementation. But the fact that I've had it implemented in highly secured areas makes me wonder if that banter isn't leading towards this over-securification of even the USB ports on the computer. And would that hamper our abilities to do that very thing of plug in that extra camera?
Do you allow
zero trust?
logins?
Zero trust. Nothing. Zero. Nothing. We trust nothing.
Do you allow logins to like Dropbox?
No, some of them don't.
Mm-hmm. Some of them don't.
Yeah, no. Some of the computers, yeah, if it's not a federated service, it's not going. Mm-hmm. Done.
But you can email a file to yourself and open that. Like that, I mean, like getting files to yourself from that computer, there's ways.
There is probably ways around it, but it doesn't help the BYOD section of it because you can't plug an email in and get your video camera.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm just curious.
Yeah. I know.
No, I'm not running into a secure environment to that level. I'm sure it will happen, and I'm sure it will happen without consultation of how people actually teach or use the spaces, and then we'll have to push back, and that'll be fun. So, all right. Any last things on BYOD? We have a couple items we want to bring up here in our negative 2 minutes we have left on our clock here. Any last thoughts on BYOD aside from do presentation only, put a PC in the room, and be happy?
Well, yeah. The summary is what, like just avoid it, kind of. I guess.
If you provide it for presentation, except for those weird edge cases and people like Jamie. So,
yeah, I think
local presentation only.
Local presentation, but try to accommodate it in the best you can. But think about it, what it may be differently later on. If it's not just your computer, not just your phone, what about the other stuff? What about all the devices, not just bring your own laptop? Yeah. So, I don't know. Or just don't do it. Either way.
Or don't do it. Yeah. All right. Well, couple last things. We want to get some housekeeping stuff here. So it's come to our attention in recent discussions with people that a lot of you listening to this right now are getting it through the Higher Ed AV feed. And we do want to say thanks to them for hosting this and sending out this show. Did you know we do a different show twice more than this one? So we're doing 3, sometimes 4 shows a month on our own feed, and you're missing out. So you need to go over to you need to go to avsuperfriends.com. Almost gave the wrong address there. Go to avsuperfriends.com and you can sign up for the other feed, which includes this show, but has everything we do. So we do another show called Off the Rails, where we go off the rails, and Justin mentioned it a while ago that, hey, we're going off the rails, shut up. So we had to bring it back. If you want a longer form show, something where it's more banter, more back and forth, and multiple topics, more guests and things, that's on our website, avsuperfriends.com. You can sign up there. We do have some upcoming appearances. We're going to be doing another AVSF Live. We would invite you to join us for that one. We're going to be doing that as part of the HETMA online conference. That's going to be on Friday, February 22nd. And I don't know the time. I want to say it's at 1 p.m. Eastern, but we'll have to confirm that. I don't know. Go to hetma.org, find that one, or go to avsf.live. It's a website. It works. And we'll put the information about that there. Hope you'll join us for that. Socials, if you want to find us on the socials, we're on Twitter at AV Superfriends. We're on LinkedIn at good luck finding anything on LinkedIn.com. So go to LinkedIn and type in AV Superfriends.
Go to Google, put us in there. It was followed by LinkedIn.
Type in LinkedIn and then AV Superfriends. You'll find us. Yeah. So, guys, what else you want to bring up that we need to make sure people know about?
It's a new year. New stuff coming up.
It is. Well, it's month 3 of the it's month 2.
Wherever we are now, I never know what year I'm even anymore. Some new exciting stuff coming. Hopefully we'll do some more engagement with everybody listening and some live pieces. We want to hear more from you everybody out there listening, if you have questions, shoot them in here. If you're just wondering how we solve specific problems or challenges you may have, send them our way. We love unpacking that stuff on air, live in front of the world. So yeah, keep bringing it in. And for those who've been along for the ride, thank you for being along for the ride. And we are shipping out some more free stuff to people.
That's right. We did get a new order of swag. Justin was showing photos of new swag that we got. So those of you who are owed swag, yes, we have a backlog going, like 6 months back. We know.
Yeah. I'm slacking a little bit. I need to get my shit together. So
let's see. Anything else here? I would say, if you've enjoyed this episode, if you take the extra step, please tell a friend about it. We're relying on you, our listeners, to tell others about this show and about our other shows. So, in fact, if everybody who's listening right now went out and told somebody, then we had like 6 extra people. So
get them all to give you $1, and then all those other people are going to give
that.
them
No, do
$1.
not do a multi-level marketing pyramid scheme. It's not legal advice. But go tell a friend about the show if you're enjoying it. And if you want to yell at us about BYOD and wireless appliances and all the things we were just talking about that we are 100% in agreement on, and you were yelling at your car stereo, please email, tweet, do whatever, get in touch with us. We want to hear from you on that, because this is an open conversation.
I would like to see more complaint letters.
Actually, that's a good point. We have one. We have a rant that somebody wrote because they were pissed, and I'm going to rewrite that and read it on the show. I'll anonymize it, but we'll read that in. So if you have if you want to really yell at us, do it. We love that content.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
All right. Well, that about wraps it up. We will catch you guys in March. Thanks very much.
Send us your complaints.
Thanks for putting up with yet another episode of AV SuperFriends On Topic. You can contact us with questions, topic ideas, or general complaints at avsuperfriends.com.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
The opinions expressed by the AV SuperFriends are solely those of the individuals and do not represent their respective institutions, organizations, companies, or clients.